Doing it. Hi, everyone. It says we're streaming live. It's different because of my technological setup here. Sometimes I get the full picture, and sometimes it's not quite. You know, but it says we're live. So yes, hello. I'm Emil Guillermo, the museum director of the Philippine American National Historical Society Museum. That's where we are, and well, we're not there now. We're there virtually because I've got this background, but once again, because of COVID, we're shut down. We're planning to get open again because I think San Joaquin County has a window where museums can open, but it takes some preparation. It takes all sorts of things that we have to do on our end, and we're going to take care of it. We're going to do it because we miss you. I mean, that's kind of the basic point. We miss being a museum that is like your regular brick and mortar museum. But one thing about this COVID crisis, what it's done is it's helped us to realize that the museum is where you are. Even though we're closed, we can still check in. You can check in with us. We can check in with you. Our preferred place to check in on Facebook. Facebook is where a lot of you are. Check us out at Facebook/FANHS Museum or Facebook at FANHS Museum, and check to see all the different interviews we've done. We did one yesterday on Filipino Warriors, women with guns training to fight in World War II. And you thought the whole equity battle was over, but it's not. I mean, some women were not allowed to receive equity benefits in that compromise that was passed by Obama in 2009 because they were women and they were not nurses. Nurses were deemed okay, but women guerrilla fighters, and I'm thinking about guerrilla fighters. There are some you got to know about the Filipino World War II vets, how that evolved. Some were in the Philippines answering the call of Franklin Roosevelt to join the USA FFE and fight alongside Americans. One of those heroes, Ernesto Mabalan, good friend of mine, father of Don Mabalan, the Filipino historian extraordinaire who passed away a couple of years ago, a real fond stalwart. I got to know her dad, Ernesto, while I was working in Stockton covering diversity for the newspaper there. And my God, Ernie was a good guy. He was my buddy. He was my friend. And we did a story on him about how he was a guerrilla fighter as a young boy. Just barefoot with a slingshot. You can find his story in the record. I wrote it back in 2005, I believe. 2004. Ernie, good guy, passed away. But he was a guerrilla fighter as a young boy. He came to America. So he had benefits due him because he was a guerrilla there, came to America. Like a lot of people came to America, they were Filipino Americans. Some of them even joined the army here. So they were qualified to receive benefits on a number of scores. And you have to understand that all this time that happened between World War II, come fight with the United States, and then the whole idea about the Rescission Act, saying, "Oh no, we're taking those rights away," and then the fight for the benefits. People came to America; they became Filipino Americans. There were fighters who were already here in America, in the U.S. during World War II, and they signed up, like my Uncle Mel, who came in the 30s, then went to war. He got his benefits already because he was with the regular army. He wasn't with the USA FFE. So there's a lot of, you need to understand who was who in this fight for equity benefits. And in 2009, Obama got the money, the $15,000 lump sum for people here who came here to America. I think it was 9,000 for people who stayed in the Philippines. But the people who were not able to get any benefits at all, the women, The women were totally shut out. That's not fair. So check out my 2 interviews that I did with the documentary filmmakers of the legacy of the fighting Filipinos. Yesterday, Tammy Botkin rather, she's the director, and Amanda Upson is the producer. And that'll put all that thing into perspective, and you'll see why that's important. Okay, so that's one thing. Just want to mention, we do all these videos, these pop-ups. Those are 2. One I did with Professor Dan Gonzales. Interesting if you want to understand how the Filipino American political mindset evolved from the colonial period, 1898 to the present. It really is it goes back that far. And then people say, oh, Filipino history is this and Filipino American history is this other thing. It all is one. And a lot of the Filipino history dovetails with Filipino American history, and you got to understand it to see why we are the community that we are. So check out my interview with Dan Gonzales. So all of them are available on Facebook Live, and most of them are available on our YouTube channel. Check them out. I like to come in here every weekday at Saturday and Sunday because this is when we're open. And when we're not open, what do you got? I want you to know that we're checking in with you. You can check in with us. I like to see the museum is where you are because you have the stories. You're telling the stories about Filipino America. You're telling the stories about what we're doing now, what we did then. I tell people, go back into your family photo albums and show me the story. Tell me what the story behind that photograph. One of the things about the FANHS Museum is that we are living history. Oral histories are important. How we view our history is important. And you don't have to be an historian to participate in this museum. You don't have to be an academic. You just have to have access to history, access to sources, and the ability to simply to tell the story you come with. That's an important story. That's what makes this community micro grassroots museum unique from anything out there. Okay. And I hope that you will let me know what you want to talk about, what kind of things are important when you contact me at filipinomuseum@gmail.com, filipinomuseum@gmail.com. Let me know some stories that you want to tell. I like to do this thing on Sunday. I talk about Sunday brunch. And Sunday. Okay, now during COVID, some of us go to church still. Some of the churches are kind of open. They're limiting people to access. They're limiting it to maybe a half or to a third or a quarter capacity, depending upon where you are. I just recall that we always went to church late, right? 10 o'clock, 10:30, maybe 12, right? Because then it dovetailed with the food, the meal time. And I just always recall when I grew up in San Francisco, we lived in the Fillmore district. I grew up in a lot of different areas of San Francisco, the Fillmore, the Mission. But when I was really young, the closest to the Filipino immigrant experience, right? You're 5, you're 6, you're 7. We were in the Fillmore. You climb up those stairs up to the flat, and you can just follow the scent of the garlic on the pan, crackling at the fried fish, the dried fried fish, right? And it had its own unique smell and its own unique crackling sound. That was right, tinapa, right? You're gonna eat that dried fish, put it on your rice. But I always held out. I held out for the top, right? The tapsilog, you people know, oh, tapsilog, tapa. I remember in elementary school, they said, second grade, so I was all of 7. Take your crayons out, boys and girls, and make a picture of your favorite food. what is your favorite food? And I said, all my buddies were drawing like hamburgers and like ice cream sundaes. I was drawing tapa. How do you draw tapa with a brown crayon? I mean, do you make it black? I mean, it's dried, but really, how do you make tapa? How do you draw tapa with a crayon and make it interesting and delectable? You have to like draw little, lines showing scents of how hot or how wonderfully aromatic it was. Little scent lines. Yes, that was a tough one. Draw a plate of tapa, Emil. This is your first grade assignment. Comfort food for Filipinos. And no one knew tapa. Well, tapa is sort of like beef jerky, kind of loose beef jerky that's not hard, soft beef jerky. And then tapsalog, right? You go to a tapsalog place, and they give you the slice marinated. They call it, now I would know, slice marinated meat with the egg, right? And on the rice. And there you go. There's your breakfast, Filipino breakfast. Brunch. I know, I'm vegan now, so I guess it would be marinated tofu with a fake egg. No egg. Oh, no. Intermittent fast. I'm an intermittent Filipino. So intermittent fast. I skip breakfast. I have lunch. Boom. Okay. Anyway, so this is our idea of a Sunday brunch. I guess it's history log, historisolog, where we have history with you. If you eat tapa, I'm not going to make you feel guilty for eating meat if you must. Although, come on, now, you look at those diabetes rates, and you look at if you want to reverse your diabetes, you want to reverse all the things that come from eating a Filipino diet, email me. I'll send you some suggestions. But look, we all have choices here in America, right? And you can tell because you see the people come from the Philippines, and they're like thin as a rail. Oh, they're thin. 5 years later, oh my God. How many Happy Meals did you have? You're happy. You're an American. Welcome. I mean, that happens, right? So historisolog, that's what we're doing here. We got a board meeting coming up. That's why I'm going to keep this kind of short. But it's important to do this because tomorrow is Columbus Day. Columbus Day tomorrow. And are you celebrating? Are you Filipino Americans celebrating it? Since 1992, there's been a movement to call it Indigenous Peoples Day, right? And I think it's kind of important, whether or not you officially do Indigenous Peoples Day or you do kind of like a, okay, Columbus, yeah, 1492, October 12th, he did something. We'll honor that, but we won't really push it too much. What should Filipino Americans think or do or say about Columbus Day? A lot of times it's out of our hands, right? The markets are open or closed. I think they're going to be closed in honor of Columbus Day. You're going to have to check what things are open and closed because every state is different. This is one of the divides as to in our country about how do we honor Columbus now that we know the kind of guy he was, and I'll explain that in a second. President Trump has already declared, hey, Monday is Columbus Day. It's a holiday. And he said, oh, those radicals are out there trying to change things. It's always it's not the radicals. The radicals are the people who want to kidnap the governor of Michigan. Those are radicals. The white supremacists who had that plot that the FBI, foiled and arrested them. Those 17 guys, you look at their pictures, I didn't see a Filipino among them. They're all like these white bearded guys who look like they have problems. But they're the radicals we need to worry about, not the people who call attention to Columbus. And yet there's President Trump saying just Friday, honoring Columbus Day, and fine. But here at the museum, I just want to tell you the truth about Columbus. The truth about Columbus in 1492, everyone knows, going back to I know this because I think it was the same lesson that I did the tapa drawing in crayon. in my first grade class. They taught us about the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria. Those are the three boats, right, of Columbus, sailed from Europe to the New World. Here's the truth. Columbus thought he was going to Asia. Yeah, Columbus thought he was going to Asia. I think he might have thought he was discovering the Philippines. Honest to God, he thought he was going to. So here's Spain, right? Italian, sailing for Spain or Portugal, one of those explorer countries. Comes across, thinks there's only the Atlantic, and thinks we'll go straight to China. He, honest to God, thought he was going to China to discover gold and bring it back for the king. Oh boy, was he wrong, right? There's this thing in the middle between the Atlantic and the Pacific called the Americas. He didn't know it was there. He was coming, and when he landed in what is known as the Bahamas, he thought he was in Japan. Yeah, this is Columbus, the guy we're honoring tomorrow. He thought it was Japan. A few weeks later, he went to Cuba. He thought that was China. Yeah. Now, I don't know how many of you are aficionados of Bullwinkle and Rocky. They had a segment there called the history thing with the dog, Mr. Peabody, right? Mr. Peabody used to have a character that he used to highlight. Admiral Wrong Way Peach Fuzz. Wrong Way Peach Fuzz. Columbus thought he was in Asia. He ended up in the Bahamas. That is something historically worthy of Admiral Wrong Way Peach Fuzz. And yet he's revered. Columbus is revered for any number of reasons because, well, number one, he was Italian. And the Italian Americans have made a big deal about Columbus since, way back, 20s, 30s. He was a symbol of Italian pride. Okay, but aside from the fact that he really thought he was in Asia, but it was in the Bahamas, he didn't even. There were other people here. What did he discover? Truly, he discovered a people who didn't want to be colonized. It's like if you woke up today and said, "Hey, I discovered America. I discovered the world. I'm going to plant my flag somewhere." And you see how egotistical that was? Although he was sailing for the king, right? Or the Queen Isabella. I'm just saying, you honor Columbus, not necessarily at your own risk, but you honor Columbus at the expense of the truth. I'm thinking, what if he thought it was the Philippines? I mean, he thought he was in Japan. He thought Cuba was China. What if he thought he was in, well, there was no Philippines. There were islands there. But just think how different things would be. Now, here's the thing about Columbus sailing across the Atlantic, finding himself here, in the Americas. He didn't know there was a Pacific, right? Because the Pacific didn't come until way after with Balboa. And when the explorers got smart and they said, oh, we got to get around this big hump here called the Americas and got to go south. And then we got to go to, there's the Philippines, right? Magellan, 1512. Who are these people here? Oh, the natives. People were already there. What did the explorers, what did they truly discover? And that really is at the heart of Indigenous Peoples Day. You can't just show up and say, hey, I discovered it. It's already been discovered. There's already people here. There's already civilization. There's already, culture and society already here. It's not there for you to impose yours from Spain or from the New World or from, Europe. So how did we get this kind of history where we think that Columbus discovered America? Well, because the dominant narrative, protect the explorer sailing for Spain. You know, uh, honestly, he didn't find the Americas. He found the gateway to the New World. There's always some PR involved, right? Columbus found the gateway to this new expansive world. Give him credit for that. Never mind the natives, never mind the indigenous people who were normally raped and pillaged by the colonial forces. That's called just adding on to the narrative, adding on to the truth. And yet you have people who are hanging on to the existing traditional narratives, like President Trump when he said, "Hey, Columbus Day, yeah, let's honor him." Heck with those radicals who want to, you know, no one wants to hijack Columbus Day. We're just all in service to the truth, in service to history. So when you think about Columbus Day on October 12th, think about, like I said, guy thought he was in Asia. He wasn't in Asia. He was in the Bahamas and then Cuba. And let's just call it what it is. He wasn't exactly where he thought he was. And he was first, 1492, but he wasn't the first to step foot in America. Oh, the Filipinos came 1587. And that's partially why we celebrate Filipino American History Month in October. I was going to get to this next week, but you need to know October 15th, 1587, very big time. And I've written about it in the past. Filipinos were the first. And if you're watching this on a, when this is airing live on a Sunday, maybe, and you're near the central coast of California, maybe you should go down to Moro Bay. Oh, I said October 15th. I meant October 18th. October 18th. That's a key time because that's when Unamuno. Well, I think he was there October 15th. I'm going to have to check my dates. I'll do this in advance of next week. But Pedro de Unamuno is the reason why we celebrate 1587. And if you go to Moro Bay, you'll see the FANHS of Filipino American National Historical Society plaque, which honors Moro Bay as the place where the first Filipinos set foot in America. That's kind of an extraordinary story. And look, there are people who even doubt that. Some really smart and credible historians like Alex Fabros questions what happened. And this isn't a matter of crab mentality. This is just a matter of how historians view sources, how historians view facts. Alex Fabros is a sailor, a navigator, and he questioned some of the detailed diary entries that some FANHS members looked at as, let's see, back in 1996, it was in the Amerasia Journal, UCLA's Amerasian Journal, that Luisa Gomez Bora, who was a librarian and a trustee of FANHS, wrote this document. And the document says Pedro de Unamuno, sailing for Spain, was in Macau, lost some boats, got it together again, started sailing back east, and found himself on the California shore at Morro Bay, 1587, October. And the entries are there. The Filipinos weren't the sailors. The Filipinos were the deckhands. But the deckhands were also they're kind of the fodder. And I guess there's privilege when you're fodder. That means when you start a landing party, the first to go out are the ones that you don't mind sacrificing. The Filipinos were first to step foot on America, or on the Americas, right? Followed by the Spanish priests and a few soldiers. That was the landing party of Pedro Unamuno's boat, Moro Bay. The dispute is whether or not it really was Moro Bay, and if, and this is something that I talked to Alex Fabros about, because he was wondering about the positioning of the rock. There's a big rock in Morro Bay. It looks like a mini rock of Gibraltar. And he was just wondering about how the boats were positioned so they landed there. But the original documentation was posted in the Uclas Journal, UCLA's journal, back in 1996. Like I said, Eloise Ibarra did it. Because of that, FANHS as a society, as a national society, posted or declared or put this monument, or put a plaque on a rock there, and you can go there today. I mean, if you drive down there, it's open air, social distance, wear your mask, and just admire. Think about how it was that a boat came from Macau, landed there, and the first Filipinos got off the boat and engaged with the Indios, the natives. And we'll get to that part of the story next week, because it's fascinating what Board found through the diaries of D. Unamuno. And it really is the basis for why we celebrate October as Filipino American History Month. And, as is a lot of that history, a lot depends on the explorers' motives, what they were doing, what they wanted to do. D. Unamuno, I don't even know he knew what he had found there, in Moro Bay. I always said, if the Filipinos only had a real estate license, they would have known the true value of where they were. But they were just the deckhands and the fodder. And their claim to fame may not have been, we discovered it for the Philippines, we discovered it for ourselves, we staked our claim. The real virtue of that whole episode is, we were first. It means something. We put our feet here first in the Americas. 1587. I'll go deeper into what Bora says in their Emirates Journal piece next week. But just something to think about as you think about October, Filipino American History Month, and you think about all the explorers who were out there and what they were trying to do with this new world. I mean, they were in Europe, this little pocket of land, right? England, Spain, Portugal, the Dutch, they were all over the place. And they sent their boats everywhere, right? Looking for spices, looking for taste, for flavor. I guess they figured, well, the Philippines, we get garlic where we are. We don't need tinapa. We don't. They missed the Philippines. Magellan found the Philippines, 1521. And according to some narratives, got his head chopped off. We'll talk to Professor Dan Gonzales has a theory about that. We'll talk to him next week when we get more into this. And like I said, but this is the story we have, or one of the narratives that we have, and it's the basis for all of October being Filipino American History Month. And the significance of this, if you can say the Filipinos were here first in 1587, well, all right, well, let's look at the timeline. When did the Pilgrims get here? The Pilgrims got here in December of 1620. So if people start saying, hey, Mayflower family. Moi. Oh, yeah, you're white. You mean the Mayflower moving van? No, Mayflower. 1620. Pilgrims, Plymouth Rock, Plymouth, Massachusetts. 1620. Uh, the Filipinos were here in 1587. 1587. That's 33 years earlier than Plymouth Rock. Yeah, yeah. You're on the East Coast. We were on the West Coast. Wouldn't you rather be on the West Coast? It's warmer. But it's true. Filipinos, I mean, they didn't stay. The Filipinos didn't stay. But I'm going to tell you a fact that Bora uncovered in the diaries of Pedro de Unamuno next week. Not insignificant. So 1587 Filipinos, 1620 December, right? That's when the Pilgrims came. 1619, right? That was another date about slavery. That's another date we hear. Columbus, 1492. That's tomorrow. We celebrate Columbus, or we honor him, but we honor him for spreading a half truth, spreading a narrative, an acceptable narrative for most people, but clearly not all. Clearly not all. Because what did he discover? He discovered something that was already discovered by the people who lived there. They knew what was there. Columbus discovered something for the king and the queen and his history books. And this is why history is important, and important why we tell the stories that we tell. And on a broader scale, but it's why all our histories are important, because if we don't tell them, no one will. Who's going to talk about these stories? We're talking about it here at the Filipino American National Historical Society Museum, because that's one of our charges, to talk about our stories, our broader story and our personal stories. Our personal stories about drawing pictures of tapa with crayon. I knew it tasted good. I wasn't trying to convince my buddies it tasted good. And thank goodness I became vegan later on in my life, so the ravages of the tapa haven't destroyed my health. But this is history, our story. All right, so let's see. It is now 12. Okay, it's after 12. Just want to do a couple things here. Hope you enjoyed that little discourse on Filipino American history. I want to show you a couple things or share with you a couple things about the power of our histories. And it's important. I wanted to show some Facebook things. And I wanted to show the picture of my mom and dad and that cake, because I think it's kind of cool to see our pictures. Our pictures really are our histories. Actually, no, let me do this. I'm going to. This is how you know you're behind the scenes, friends. You are behind the scenes. I'm going to share my screen. Let's see, share screen. And here. Share my screen. All right, first of all, your old pictures are important. And I mean that. Here's a picture that I posted on our Facebook page. Oh, where is it now? I posted this picture on our Facebook page. And who are these people? Can you name these people? This came from the Filipino Advocates for Justice. And you know this guy. He's the other reason why we celebrate Filipino American History Month. And you know this woman. She was born and raised in Stockton, but she means so much to the Filipino American community. When I first met her in the '80s, she said, "I did a I hosted a benefit for her," and I cracked a few jokes. She thought it was funny, but then she said something in a post here. She said, "Oh, 70% of all Filipinos think they're comedians." I think she's right. I think it's more like 80. But anyway, look at this guy. Who is this guy? If you go to our FANHS Facebook page and tell me who it is. If you can, that would be great. That would show that, hey, our pictures mean something. Here's this other thing I want to show. I'm going through our Facebook page. The Facebook page is where you're going to find all the oh, look, and I have access to comments. So if you want to say something, you can put comments there. We'll be on just a few more minutes, but I'll take your comments if you have any. So there's put down who you think that is. Okay, here. This is a Filipino wedding in San Francisco. Here's my mom. There's my dad. And there's a cake. And I don't pop out of the cake for a long time. This is in the 50s. Now, someone said, hey, this is the war bride situation. Yeah. Well, not exactly, because my mom wasn't a war bride. My mom came during a time when war brides came to America, but my mom really came as the valet for a Spanish woman in Manila who was coming to America and thought this was an opportunity for my mom. And it was. And look at the Filipino community. It was all about making families. If you can make a family, you were sowing the seeds of the Filipino American community. And look who they were. Here's my Uncle Mel. He had my cousin Faye. Like, I think some of this is my god sister, Eileen. There's my Nanny Salai. And there's my Auntie Lo. I mean, there's my Uncle Joe. There's Uncle Bas, Basilio, and Lucas families. So this is San Francisco in the 1950s. And I can tell this is our house because there's our carpet. I know that carpet. I used to roll around in that carpet. This is on Fulton Street in San Francisco, which is now so gentrified we couldn't afford to go back in, right? But there's my dad, who's a cook. He's got his little 1920s suit on. There's my mom, who was the petite Filipina, who'd come from Manila with her Spanish patron, and essentially just left out, not left out in the streets, but she found her community, and she found my father. That was a story. That's a story of how the Filipino community was built. And a lot of these guys, my father came in 1928, came across the boat, landed in San Francisco, did not take the taxi to Stockton, did not go to the fields. He stayed in San Francisco, and 28, right? 28, 38, 48, 50. It's a long time. Long time to be shut out of family, shut out of, having a bride, starting a family. But that was the reality for Filipino Americans who were prevented from intermarriage by the anti-miscegenation laws, prevented from owning land, prevented from any number of things because of racist laws that existed toward Filipinos. You need to know that. There's a reason why we exist the way we do. That picture tells all these stories. You just know where to find them. And you have pictures as well. Look at those pictures. Find the story. And when you know and can express that story, let us know here. Let me know. We'll talk. We'll have a conversation about our families and about how we got here and about the history, the past, and how it affects the history of today. Okay. Email me at filipinomuseum@gmail.com. That's filipinomuseum@gmail.com. And we'll talk about these stories because these stories are the fascinating Filipino American stories that no one knows, that no one hears about, except us. We tell them. We tell them here at the museum. So, thank you for joining me on Sunday Brunch. Back again next Saturday and Sunday. We do these things. They're these pop-ups because we want to serve you. We want to connect with you. When I was at a California Association of Museums thing over the weekend, some people said, "Hey, how are you? What are you doing? You know, when you're closed, and how did you reimagine the museum?" And I said, "Well, we reimagine the museum being virtual, where we're telling stories and connecting with each other using the things that everyone uses: Facebook, YouTube. We're connecting." And I said, you know, in some ways we are spread out and connecting not just with the people of Stockton who can walk or drive or, you know, come by the museum on Saturday or Sunday. We're connecting with every Filipino American wherever they are, because truly the museum is wherever you are. We're connecting. People come to us, we engage, we say, yeah, Filipino American history. And we go about our lives and come back again. More stories, more things in the museum, more things to tell. So we're developing a hybrid model where we're online, we're virtual, but we're also connecting with you. We want to connect with you. We want to see you in person. Of course, when we see you in person, we won't be hugging. We won't be, you know, maybe an elbow bump. You know, it's going to be different. Maybe 6 feet, 6 feet, please. 18 for you, 18. But we got to socially, and we're going to wash our hands. Oh, I'm just seeing you. I have to wash my hands. We're going to do that because we have to. We have to be careful of the virus. But we do miss you. We do miss you not being at the museum. We do miss not being able to show you the exhibits, the things that we have on our walls, some of the art. Tony DeZuniga's art, the DC Marvel artist. He was the exhibit that we had just before we closed down. We still have his art, fortunately. And then we do our little storytelling workshops live. But we're pleased that wherever you are now, New York, Texas, Florida, Oregon, Washington State, LA. I mean, we won't make you drive to Stockton, but maybe once a year you can come by. And then the rest of the time you just check with us here and we'll connect with you. That's what we do. Hampton Road, you're in Virginia, Hampton Roads, great FANHS chapter there. You're in Chicago, New York. We have a Joey Tobacco out there, New York, Florida, Houston, Texas has a FANHS chapter. We can all be connected virtually through the museum. So your thoughts, send me the email, filipinomuseum@gmail.com. Thank you very much. If you've missed any of this, it'll pop back up live momentarily. See all our museum pop-ups live. And that's it for our Tapsilog, our Historisilog, our Sunday brunch. Did you save some for the Halo Halo? Did you save some for the Halo Halo? I hope so. Till next time, I'm Emil Guillermo.